The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties.
So without delay, please welcome Jonathan Smith as the 26th coach of Spartan football.
There it is, and welcome everybody. It is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Welcome to the only show about Spartan Dawgs, hosted by Spartan Dawgs. This is Sparta MSU. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, my man, Jehuu Caulcrick. You know, Otis is at the game right now. He's on assignment in the Breslin Center, talking to new coaches and a lot of people because the buzz is huge. As you know, if this is your first time, we want to welcome you. If this is not your first time to the show, thank you very much, and we appreciate all the support. Do not forget to follow us on all of our social media at This is Sparta MSU and hit the like and subscribe button. And let us know where you're watching from, because we are going to be watching the chat because we're live and in color with you guys right now. Chew, big news. We're going to get right into it. Got a jam-packed show, a couple of guests on here today, but we got to talk about the hiring of Jonathan Smith over from Oregon State out of the Pac-12 as the 26th head coach of Michigan State football.
Yeah, definitely going to talk about that. Excited to have David join us to break that down. And, from us here at This is Sparta, we want to welcome Coach Smith to the Spartan family. It's we got to get behind him as Spartans as he looks to turn what has been the last two seasons have been miserable for Spartan football fans and the players as well. So want to turn that around and, welcome to Spartan Nation, Coach Smith.
Absolutely. Welcome, Coach Smith. We cannot wait to shake your hand, see you, and get you on the show because we got to learn. Everybody's got to learn. He's got to learn the culture. We got to learn about him. And that's what Spartans do. We're family around here. And we're going to not waste any time because we have a special guest with us today. David Harns from Spartans Illustrated joins This is Sparta MSU. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Oh, man,
and
look at you.
I got to say, too, before we jump in there, David is like the Adam Schefter of, Spartans. Anything that he breaks, you better take that to the bank.
Without question. So listen, you've been following this for a long time, David, and we've seen the article that you wrote in Spartans Illustrated, how Alan Hogg got Smith to MSU. We're going to get into that. You're live from the Breslin Center. Right behind you looks like you have the press conference that's getting ready to bubble up a little bit with Coach Izzo in a moment. He's not quite there.
There's still 8.5 minutes left in the game. So,
okay. All right. So we will not keep you past that. So maybe we can just have Coach come on the show from there live and we can ask him questions. I think we have some people that may have some questions for him that are in our chat, but let's get into Coach Smith. You were there when, before we get into the whole story with Alan and how he got him, you were there at the airport just a few days ago when he arrived into Lansing. Talk about that scene and set that table for us.
Sure. So we had a guy who was kind of looking to see, what airplanes might be coming out of Eugene area over there in Oregon and Oregon, however you pronounce it. But we found one that looked like it was kind of headed our way. And it's interesting when you looked at the flight plan, it was redacted. It didn't have a beginning or an ending. It didn't have any of the details as to any who owns it, that sort of stuff. And we're like, well, that's the one. So just kind of guessed as to what time it might be showing up. So I showed up to the airport around 2:15, 2:30, I walked in and it was empty, of course. And I asked a couple of TSA ladies, hey, where would I find, the MSU contingent? And they pointed me to the building next door. So walked over there, kind of just walked in and saw a bunch of cheerleaders sitting around waiting. And I was like, well, this must be the place. So kind of waited there for about 45 minutes or so. And then it was kind of clear that he was landing and coming up. And so everybody kind of went outside, and Alan Haller was kind of standing there on the tarmac and just waiting for him. I'm like, this actually is a pretty decent picture. So I got down, I snapped a picture of it. And it's kind of him standing there from behind with a plane's kind of taxiing towards him. And it is kind of an iconic look, I think, for him, because it just kind of represented, the fact that he got his man and he got who he wanted, the top guy on his list. So it was a pretty cool scene there. He got off the plane, his wife and children right behind him, shook Alan's hand, and then they all gave Sparty a hand, or shook his hand, or gave him a fist bump. And then they went in through the cheerleaders, and he got to work.
Yeah. You talk about, the whole, how it worked, and you said it's cool. And you talk about that picture and Alan standing there and he's got his guy. There was this search it was out there. Everyone knew there was a search going on, but Alan held it close to the vest. And there wasn't a lot of really speculations until it was happening. Can you take us back into the whole process of the search and how Coach Smith became the guy?
Sure. And if you want, there's 2,800 words that your watchers can read on our website, Spartans Illustrated. But to give it a little bit
Absolutely.
of a recap, basically, I kind of reached out to Alan when it first started, and he's like, I'm not going to talk to anybody about this. I'm like, I respect that. Can you just give us any hints, any clues? And it was nothing. He's going to do this his way. And what's interesting is the flight trackers and all that stuff. The owner of this plane that Smith came in on had disabled the trackers for his plane. You have to work with those tracking sites to redact your flight plans and stuff. So, Alan had in fact met with those folks, with those coaches. There it is. That's the one. Yep. And he had met with those coaches, but nobody knew it because the flight plans had been redacted. But just kind of going back, at Spartans Illustrated, we have some industry sources. Some of our rivals, national reporters, were able to help us out. So we were able to kind of find out, some of the candidates that were being considered. None of it came from MSU. They were as tight-lipped as they could be. The thing that I put in that story is that they were able to break the news on their own timeline. Now, of course, the week leading up to it, it became pretty clear that Jonathan Smith was going to be the guy, but there was no reports that said Michigan State, hired him until Michigan State put it out on their website just a minute before 1 o'clock on Saturday. So it's not typical that a school gets to kind of break its own news, but that's what happened here. So, Alan had a game plan, as he's very methodical. He went through it. He stuck to it. He pulled this off, which, when you can get, today after the press conference, he talked to local media and he mentioned that he had 3 finalists. He didn't name the other 2, but he said that he interviewed in person the top 2. And he was getting ready to go interview the 3rd one in person and just called that off because he knew that it wasn't going to get any better than Jonathan Smith. And so, when it came down to it, he had his man. He interviewed him. He kind of really enjoyed the time he spent with him and his wife and his kids. Knew that they would fit perfectly here in East Lansing, and he just pulled the trigger on it, and it went about as smooth as it could have gone.
And that it did. When you talk about the lockdown nature of this coaching search, you just don't hear coaching searches that don't have leaks. And obviously Michigan State, just like all schools and everywhere, the White House leaks, for Christ's sakes, but it didn't leak from that athletic department. And I think when you look at that, the committee size that Alan Haller chose to go with, instead of the typical, 8 to 10 people on a committee, you have donors and other people in football, all kinds of people involved, where it's much easier for things to get out. He really kept it really close, right?
He did. He mentioned today that before the search started, he did kind of talk to stakeholders, if you will, some former football players, some current football players and students and some other folks like that, and kind of got a list of qualities that were important to him. But then at that point, he just buckled down with his very tight group. As far as I can tell, it was just him and his deputies. He would talk to some of the other folks in general, and he would give updates to the board of trustees, but he would never name candidates. He kept them in the loop the whole time. There was a lot of speculation throughout, if he was going to be able to, with there not being a president in there, would he be able to have the authority to hire this person without any issues? And, it turns out he did. And it turns out that he, kept them informed the whole time, so that there weren't going to be any issues like what happened last time, in 2000. So, it was a pretty well buttoned up search. And, he's done this with other coaches that he's hired. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to everybody. But, he pulled this one off, which was on a magnitude bigger than any other coach he'd hired yet.
And when you talk about what happened in 2020, you're referring to the Luke Fickell to Mel Tucker debacle that happened, right? That's what you're referring to?
Yeah, just kind of, just the idea that, he was able to, he mentioned and kind of, you can tell that he did things differently than his predecessor. Beekman obviously was in charge of that hire. And he's meeting with coaches on the tarmac, and people are looking at the shoes, trying to figure out who's what. There was none of that here, right? And, people didn't even know that he had gone and met with these coaches. Obviously he had a bit of an advantage because he got to do, some of it via Zoom, the early rounds and all of that. But once it started heating up, he didn't mean to miss a beat. I kept looking for him at the different places where he was normally going to be, whether that be at a basketball game or a football game or here at the press conference or there. He was always at those places. So whenever he got away, he did it, pretty, secretly, and, was able to pull this off without, getting any sort of hiccups in it at all.
I got a question for you because I know people want to know this all around Spartan Nation, and you're as close to this as anyone. Was Urban Meyer ever in consideration for the job at Michigan State?
So I've not been able to confirm. I've not been able to confirm that he was, and I've not been able to confirm that he wasn't. There was a lot of smoke, a lot of fire that other people were putting out there that this was a thing. But from all of my sources, there was never a scenario in which he was going to be the coach. That doesn't mean that there weren't conversations between, certain people, but I'm still working on that part of the story. I'd still like to get to the bottom of it. If I ever do, and if I can ever share those details, I promise you that I will. But I'm not sure if that story is ever going to really truly come out.
Yeah, and so obviously, in today's day and age with new coaches, there's the turnover, the changes. Coach Barnett was the interim head coach. There's reports out there that he's going to talk to Coach Smith and have the opportunity. Maybe he will stay. Maybe one Coach Hockin, another Spartan. What is going on with that? Is there any true reports out there that these two coaches are staying on board or not?
So this afternoon, we were able to confirm that he had indeed talked to Barnett. He met with him for, I think, an hour and a half, he said, and that he just was completely, impressed with the man. And he's just a good man who, he is just in conversations with. He, of course, until the ink's dry, he can't confirm anything. But from some of the sources that we've talked to, it appears pretty close that, both him and Hawkins will be on the new staff. It's in some role. Again, that's not confirmed, but it does seem likely that that's going to be happening here, and probably announced once they're able to kind of fill out their staff and make sure that they've got everything signed and sealed. They don't want to announce things before everything's kind of locked in.
Right. And even so with that, the coach turnover and everything like that, that also comes, especially in today's day and age with college football, with the transfer portal being that you can transfer without any penalties, asset penalties, as in sitting out a year or anything like that. Michigan State, we've seen 3 offensive linemen, 3 quarterbacks, 2 receivers, another, I believe a linebacker, or something, if I'm not mistaken, that has entered the transfer portal. Can you calm Spartan Nation? This is something that's that's typical nowadays. And these just because they're in there doesn't necessarily mean that they're leaving as well. Also, correct?
It doesn't necessarily mean that. He did mention today that that he doesn't fault anybody for any moves that they make. He said that they've been through a lot and that he doesn't blame anyone for anything they choose to do. He did say that he wants to chat with all of them and that he wants to talk to them and that he is interested in kind of working through it with anybody that wants to talk about it. And so, I see the list on the screen right now. And it's funny is as we were writing the articles today, the news just kept breaking in. And so it was like 3 players in the portal, 4 players. I'm like, well, let's just name it multiple players in the portal because we're not going to have to rename it then because it was just the news was just one after the other today. And, I think that's to be expected in this case. The key is Barnett kept this team together throughout the year. They had 30 days in which they could have put themselves in the portal, but they stuck through it and they were on this team and they battled to the end. And now they're putting their foot in the water. There is a chance that some of them can come back. I have talked to a couple of them who are very clear that they're not coming back. But the others, give it a chance, see what's out there, see what the new staff is like and perhaps come back. It's not a for sure yet.
Just want to give an update. Spartans up 74-40 with 5:30 left in the basketball game. For those that are paying attention to basketball over Georgia Southern, is it right now? But David, we're talking about the transfer portal and everything surrounding the new hire of Jonathan Smith. Where did his name come from? Like, how did that get to Allen? And you said that this was his number one guy from day one.
Not necessarily from day one, but he said he interviewed 12 coaches. And then once he kind of narrowed it down, he said that Jonathan Smith's name rose to the top very quickly, and it stayed there. And so, it's interesting because Spartans Illustrated reported it's probably 3 or 4 weeks ago that there were 4 candidates that were, being pursued. We didn't know all 12 names. We only knew a third of them. We reported them, and Smith was one of those at that time. And then about a week and a half ago, we reported that there was 4 candidates that had made it to second rounds interviews. And of course, Smith was one of those that we reported on that as well. So, we've had it the whole time, thanks to some of our rival sources and all of that, not through MSU. But, he's been involved there the whole time. It just, when we were talking with Smith at the airport, he made it clear that he kind of knew, he said for a long time that he was going to take this job, but he wanted one more night to sleep on it. And that was after the Oregon State game. From all indications, he got up Saturday morning, made the call, accepted the job. And MSU kind of, their comms team sprung into gear, finishing the press release, getting ready to put it on. Once you pull that trigger, now it's like, okay, we're going to have, media, we're going to have all of these different obligations. We got to get the family here. They got to get, what are they going to do with school? Where are they going to live? So, obviously Michigan State had a lot of stuff to work on, but Friday night we were sitting there at Ford Field and Alan Haller was in the back of the press conference like he normally is. And I decided to go around the back and I kind of stood in the back of the press conference and I watched Harlan Barnett in front of me and I watched Alan Haller over to the left of me. And every time, Barnett kind of made, an intonation that he was going to be the next coach, I'm going to be looking in the mirror when I see the next coach, those different types of things. I looked over at Alan just to see his reaction because nobody knew yet at that point what was happening. And he didn't break face at all. He had a poker face, just staring straight ahead, And as soon as Harlan was done with his press conference, Alan left, as is his custom. So he maintained his rhythms throughout the whole thing. He gave a shout out today to Jen Smith, who is on his team, his deputy, and said that she really kept him focused and really kept him from wandering away from, where he was, needed to be. And so he gave a lot of credit to her. And so some of these details are in the story that I wrote. But a lot of it is really interesting to me is how he handled the fact that there was going to be a new president coming in. The board of trustees was in upheaval. They were all fighting amongst themselves. We also had some sourcing that indicated that he talked to the North Carolina chancellor, who is most likely going to be the incoming MSU president. Just kind of, he didn't tell him who he was looking at, not names, of course. He kept those completely secret. but he did tell him the process in which he was following, the people, the characteristics he was looking for, his process, his procedures, what he was looking to do. And you don't need sign off from somebody who's not yet the president, but it made a lot of sense to me to, kind of get that person's buy-in so that, Jonathan Smith could feel comfortable that there wasn't going to be any, rug pulled out from under him when he got here. So Alan seemed to have thought of all of it and kind of put it all into place and kind of executed it.
Yeah. So with that, and I'm going back to the transfer stuff here. We talked about a lot of Spartans players transferring out, at least entering the transfer portal. With that, just so we can put Spartan Nation at rest here, do you expect a bunch of, Oregon State players to be coming up into East Lansing with Coach Smith as well?
So what's funny about that is one of our writers at Spartans Illustrated also writes for the Oregon State site at Rivals. And so Dylan is kind of in deep on both ends. And he wrote, he wrote an article today. To be honest with you, I haven't even had the chance to read it yet. We've been so crazy busy today. But on our website is, which recruits might be coming from Oregon State. So I hope everyone takes a look at that. I'm going to, and I'm sure Dylan did.
Where do they look? Where do they find this?
You just got to go to you just got to go to Spartans Illustrated, and if you sign up, you can monthly basis, $10 a month, or an annual basis for $100, and you get access for the whole year. You can read all of our game coverage and all of our behind the scenes stuff, including all of the different things, including we just got the terms and conditions of Jonathan Smith's contract. We'll put that up there right before the game started today. So we try to get you all the details.
Website. What's that website?
Spartans Illustrated. You can just Google Spartans Illustrated, go there.com, or you can just Google Spartans and Rivals. We're the Rivals site here at Michigan State.
SpartansIllustrated.com.
That's
there
right.
we go. We're going to put that up for us on the screen here for everybody. If you're watching YouTube, if you're listening, you know what to do. You just heard what his directions were. And to that point, what you just brought up, the contract terms in one of the articles that you just wrote, you've been working on that today. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that you wrote that his contract averages, it's about a 7-year deal that averages about 7.55. Starts out at 7.25, 7.25 million, goes up to 7.85, I believe. 85.
Yep.
Okay, in year 7, but then it kind of has a annual renewal if he hits a certain amount of wins, and the big thing is the coaching pool. Go ahead.
Yeah, and all of those details are on there for you. What we try not to do is like decide what the most important details are for the readers, but we let you choose. You can read the whole thing. You can read the entire contract, the entire terms and conditions, and see all the details from, like you were mentioning earlier. Once for the first 3 seasons, if he hits 7 wins, then a year is automatically added on to the end of the contract. He's got all of these different season tickets that he gets and stuff. That's pretty typical for a coach. But the buyout that you were talking about earlier, before we got started, kind of the decreasing buyout throughout, all of those details are on there. We literally got it right before the game started, so I haven't even been able to finish putting up much analysis on it. But we did put the documents up there so that Spartan fans can read it on their own as well.
Interesting. So the buyout kind of what does it start at? The buyouts are gonna a lot of people like the buyout talk.
I feel like it was 7 million, and then it went down like $1 million per year. I could pull it up real quick.
So that's a lot less than 76 million, man. Like go down there in Texas A&M. and Indiana just got hit with a 20.8 with Tom Allen, bro.
Right.
So the coach liquidated buyout for the first period, which is December 1st, 2024, is 7 million. Then it drops to 6 million, and then 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, and 1 million. And then December 2nd, 2029, and thereafter is a $0 buyout. So there is, again, all those details are in there. It looks like Kevin Knight, one of my writers, has gone through and put in some of the details here too. So, MSU also guarantees 85% of the remaining contract term should it terminate his employment before it's complete. There's all sorts of details like that in there. So
lots of details. I mean, listen, David, you've been close to this thing for a while. You've been tracking this stuff down. Tell us what you think drove Jonathan Smith to the Midwest. It's a guy who was born in the West Coast. He's really coached in the West Coast his whole career. He was born a mile away from the Rose Bowl. I heard him say in the press conference today, I'm sure you were there. And he's been at Boise, Washington, obviously Oregon State, a little bit at Idaho. So he hasn't really been east of the Rockies. What do you think his ability, like, is there going to be any resistance or, is there going to be a learning curve for him to come to the Midwest and the Big Ten? Obviously, the Big Ten does stretch coast to coast now, but what do you feel about that and the things that you've heard so far?
Well, what's interesting is that he has shown the ability to just be completely transparent and honest with where his faults are, where his weaknesses are, where he needs to shore up. And so he mentioned today, that is one of the things that he needs to make sure that he fills in with assistants who are capable to make sure. He did talk about how the most important thing to him is to be within a 3 or 4 hour drive of a lot of talent, and he wants to spend a lot of time getting to know the high school coaches around here. He's going to get in the car, he's going to make the drive, and he's going to just go out and do the work. There's been reporting that he's already reaching out to Nick Marsh, who's a really important recruit to come in here, and that he's going to be doing some of those visits here starting already. What's interesting though is that people talk about the money, and after the event today, I had the opportunity to kind of talk to Alan, as everybody was kind of clearing out, and I asked him, I was like, I was doing the math, and of that $9.5 million that Tucker was getting, 2.4 of it was from the donors, 7.1 of it was from the athletic budget. So really, he's going from 7.1 to 7.25, which isn't really a huge increase in what the school was spending in their budget. And I asked him, where's that extra 2.4 million going? And he mentioned that he's going to talk to the donors and he's going to figure out where they want that money to go. I could think of a few places that would make a lot of sense for that money to go.
One place.
I'll let Alan and those donors figure that part out. But it makes sense to me that was the case. And what he told me was that he started each of the conversations with his coaches that this money that he was going to spend for a coach was going to be somewhere between $6 million and $7.3 million per year. That was his budget. That's what it was going to be. If you're not interested, there's no reason for us to even talk. And so that took money off the table. And then you could talk about, what does this place look like? What does it offer? If we're in the right range as far as money goes, what does it look like to be here, to have the resources that you have here? What might this be for you, and how does this fit with you? And something that Coach Smith said a lot today was that this was the perfect fit for him and his family. During the press conference, you might have noticed he got a little emotional when he looked at his kids and his wife and said, "Thank you for coming on this journey with me." And he wants to be a coach winning championships at the highest level, but he also wants to be a husband and a father, and he wants to, that's just as important to him. And he said that clearly. So he seems to fit in here really well at Michigan State, kind of blue collar ethic, kind of bring your lunch pail to work type of guy. Nothing flashy, no bling around his neck or anything like that, So we'll see. It was interesting watching him kind of go around and talking to all the different coaches, in the buffet line afterwards. And I saw him talking to Jake Boss, and I asked Jake afterwards, I said, "What did you think of him?" He goes, "David," he said, "it was like I was talking to Mark D'Antonio from 20 years ago."
Yeah. I had a couple people that, gave that same comparison to Coach Smith and Coach D'Antonio, especially in the way that they believe in developing guys and developing players for the next level there. In Coach Smith's press conference, he talked about being tough. That's something they want to install in the players that they bring in. So I want to ask you a little bit, because the reputation for the Pac-12 is they're not a physical, they're more of a finesse conference. In the Big Ten, now that's that physical, that blue collar, bring your lunch pail, bring your hard hat, double strap your chin strap to your helmet when you go to play. How do you feel, Coach Smith, from being out west all his career, how do you think that's going to affect him recruiting wise, and especially here in the Midwest and East Coast and Southeast?
Yeah, and that's to be determined, right? It's to be determined as to see what he is he's going to have to fuse the two programs, kind of the smash mouth Big Ten football that he wants to put here. But also he talked about the fact that he was going to be innovative and he's going to take risks and he's going to do things that aren't typical. So, you like to see that. And he's going to have the ability to fill this locker room with his players. It looks like there's going to be a core group of players that are sticking around. I mean, you might see a lot of names on the screen earlier, players that are testing the waters in the portal, but just remember the names that aren't on that list. There's a lot of good players who are going to be here, who are core members of this team, who are buying in. It's going to be exciting to see what he does with his brand of football and what it kind of becomes here. Is it going to change a little bit? Is it going to, evolve? He's talked to, Mark D'Antonio. He's talked to, just the different folks around here, as well as to, what is it like around here? He wants to get to know the community. So it's going to be interesting to see what recruits he goes after, what brand of football he plays. And, we'll be on top of it the whole time.
David, I know that you will be on every single breath of what's going on with Michigan State football, and obviously the new era of Jonathan Smith as he comes into Michigan State in East Lansing, brings his family. We talked about the coaching pool. It went from 7.5 with Mel Tucker, which was a record for pretty much the Big Ten. That's SEC level. Now he's got it up to the 10.75 million level for his coaching pool, which is phenomenal. David, we want to thank you. I know that you have a press conference that's coming in right now behind you as the game is about to end. It isn't. It's the finals. 86-55. Michigan State is victorious. So get out there and ask Tom Izzo a couple of questions for Mrs. Sparta. See if we can, put a good word in for us, man, because we want to get him on the show soon. Listen, this has been awesome. We could talk for hours, all of us, on this particular subject matter, and it's going to continue to unfold. But thank you for your time today, and obviously go out there and do what you got to do with basketball, and we'll be watching and reading. One more time with the website, SpartansIllustrated.com or MichiganStateRivals.com. Correct?
Michigan State.rivals.com, or just search up Spartans Illustrated. We're there. We're on Twitter. We're we actually have a TikTok account and everything. So look us up and find us, and we look forward to connecting with everybody. Jump into our message boards and let's talk. It's fun.
All right.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, David. We got to definitely have you back on.
Well, all right, thanks. We're going to be embedded in that website. We're going to be embedded in that website. So we're working on that.
That's right. We're going to start putting your podcast up, and it'll be fun.
All right. No, appreciate it. David Harns, Spartans Illustrated. I mean, listen, there was a lot of great information there. David is a true insider. We've had nothing but insiders to come on this show. If you think about it, Chew, you're none greater than you, though. None. With your sources.
My sources.
Your sources tell you. I mean, there's a lot of transfers. I mean, we wanted to hammer that home a little bit because it was a little scary today. It seemed like every time you refreshed, or maybe just anybody you're talking to, your texts were bringing, look at this, Spencer Brown, Darius Snow, Caden Hauser. Every single quarterback that's on scholarship is now in the portal, and I know it's uneasy out there. Chew, what is your feeling on all of that?
Yeah, the big thing is I expect it. You expect change, especially, like I said, I keep bringing up in today's day and age. You're going to see that because, it's uncertain. And we also have to remember, these are kids that we're dealing with. So these aren't adults that are going in there and making these decisions. These are kids, and, they'll get emotional. They were used to one thing and something else is coming in, and it's a total change. It's a change of what they're used to. The structure is different. Of course, the new coach is going to come in with and assert his dominance into the program and try to make that stance. I remember Coach D'Antonio, when he first came in, the first year, he hardly smiled because he wanted to assert, his culture and everything. And some people weren't used to that. And that's what it's going to be here. So I think it's going to be taking time, to understand, and it's okay to take a peek in there. A guy on the top of this list here, Noah Kim, this poor kid, he's had 4 coaches in his time. Coach D'Antonio recruited him, and then before he got here, Coach D'Antonio retired, and then Coach Tucker was here, Coach Barnett. Now Coach Smith is in there. Maybe a change of scenery is probably what it might be what Noah needs, or maybe just take a look out there and then come back and say, you know what, I'm a Spartan through and through. I want to stick this out. So I think we'll see some of those guys come back, but I think some of those guys are going to leave and go somewhere else. And in today's day and age, that's college football. And I think the same way with Oregon State, you're going to see some of those guys coming here to East Lansing as well, because they have that relationship, they have that foundation with Coach Smith. So far, he's brought 5 members of his staff from Oregon State so far, with him, and I'm sure more are going to come. So those coaches, those players at Oregon State that had these tight relationships, Coach Smith, he sat in their living room, talked to their families, their parents, and it's a lot easier now saying, hey, next year we're going to be in Oregon. We're going to be playing down the road.
That's right.
Yeah, we have a game out there. Your family can still come and see you. You're playing in a premier conference. You're playing in the Big Ten. This is an opportunity that every single week you're going to be on TV. You're going to have the opportunity to showcase your talent. So I think that's going to attract some of these kids, and the facilities. I think it's night and day compared to what Oregon State has, what Michigan State has, with all the resources and money that's put into the facilities here. So I think the transfer portal is going to give it, and it's going to take it both ways as well.
You're right. The resources at Michigan State are vast when you think about what goes on at places like Oregon State and Corvallis, Oregon. There's no question. But when you talk about the transfer portal, and we talk about this ad nauseum around here, NIL, those 3 letters are paramount in securing the players that you already have or attracting players that you may want. So don't forget that. And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. But listen, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and follow us on all of our social media platforms at This is Sparta MSU. Listen, it's time to drop the pancakes and those tickets, because we got messages right now from our friends over at IHOP and SeatGeek.
Introducing IHOP's new menu with perfectly crispy yet fluffy waffles, warm, flaky buttermilk biscuits, juicy, satisfying steak burgers, decadent eggs Benedicts, and more. It's time to find your new favorite. Don't worry, we won't tell the pancakes. Only at IHOP. Let's put a smile on your plate.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception? First down? Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Chew, hey man, this is like one of those big days. Like, things are moving really fast around with the new hire. You got David Harns, who's been following this thing since its inception, and we've got more people, more things to talk about. I mean, we got the transfer portal news. All the quarterbacks are now, all the scholarship quarterbacks are in the portal. I mean, what else can we talk about? I know. We have some special guests. We have the number 1 recruit in this particular 24 class, Nick Marsh and Mama Tron, who are patiently waiting, and they join This is Sparta MSU once again. Hello, family.
Hey.
What
what's
say
going
you?
on, guys? How you doing?
Hey,
Good. Appreciate you guys taking the time to come on tonight, especially with everything that's happening. You could have just been like, hey, listen, I'm not going to talk to anybody. But Nick, I saw you at the game on Friday.
Oh, yeah, man.
Field. Talked to you. I gave you that. I said, you in? You said, I'm in. And so definitely, excited. Once the news broke, I messaged Mama Tron. I said, you guys in? There was green and white hearts that came back to me. So I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Thank you guys for having us. What's going on?
Yeah,
You tell us. So tell us
Yeah.
something now. What do you got to tell everybody? I mean,
Yeah,
this is the platform for you. This is Spartan Nation. I mean, we're going to get into your basketball skills in a minute here. But what say you about Michigan State football and new hire Jonathan Smith as the head coach?
Nick, you want to go first?
It doesn't matter. I would say I want to look forward to, what he's bringing to the table and, what type of coach he is and what can he bring to the table for Spartan Nation. I was committed to Spartans since July, and they have been going through a lot of changes throughout the time. So with this new hire with the head football coach, I just want to see where it goes.
So that means you're with us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. There we go. It's official.
We can go home now. Let's go home. Close the show.
I mean, we got to do that. We wanted to play the video from your commitment video that you did.
Best commitment video I've seen.
Best. Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they just did a tease. What was that? The copyright. They don't like the copyright around.
Yeah. So, you, Mama. So when the news broke on Friday, no one knew. There were speculations about, who the coaches might be. And then Saturday, around 1:00, I'm sure your phones were pinging and everything. And, the news broke. And so, Mama Tron, what was that like for you once, there was that? Was it that sense of relief? Okay, there's stability starting to form.
Absolutely. So for me, it was a big woosah because I'm like, man, it is really crunch time. I'm checking the dates. I'm on the calendar. I'm like, look, I need something. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with everything that's been happening. Nick is always the level-headed one. Mama Tron is the one that's out here like, look, I need some results like ASAP.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all right. So he usually is the one that's be cool. But me, I'm like, all the boxes got to be checked. And for certain, like as soon as the news dropped, we got a call. So I was like, all right, we on this. So it was a sigh of relief for me, and especially for the entire program and the boys that were already there, because they have been through it. They have been through it, and I just want to shout out the entire team because those boys have really soldiered through. So shout out to all the guys there, all the guys in the portal. This is not an easy decision for any of them, and I applaud them for sticking in.
Right.
Definitely.
Without question, it's been documented. People have been talking about since Jonathan Smith has come to East Lansing. He wanted to get to work right away. He wants to know the culture, learn about what's going on, and he said that you are a top priority. He brought your name. That's the first name of a recruit that he has brought up publicly that he wanted to reach out to and visit. Have you heard from Coach Smith yet?
Yes, I've heard from Coach Smith. I think we had a phone call either yesterday or the day before. We just had a phone call. He was, trying to get to know me personally. He said he may be coming up this Friday to see me, just have that one-on-one in person. So, just looking forward to getting to know him better.
So what was the message that he delivered to you that obviously he delivered a message to you that got you excited because you canceled an official visit. We'll get into that in a second here. But what was the message that he had?
He was just telling me that I was a priority and he really wanted me on his team. So he was doing anything and willing to do anything to keep me. So that was the main message I got from him.
Okay.
Wow. Well, I mean, listen, how does it feel with the journey that you've been on? You first thought about committing and you decommitted. You wanted to go out and see things that, that were available to you. And then this happens, right? You lose your coach that recruited you, that you committed to. Talk about that whole journey as a young man you've been through already.
It's just been a lot of adversity. I had my mom, she's just been the superwoman as far as, just handling all that pressure and adversity. She stuck by my side and we were just able to just go through the nicks and knacks and, pick out what we really wanted to do and, what was the best fit for me. Going on other college visits, it just didn't feel the same as being at MSU. And I also brought a couple friends up the other day, and they was like, Nick, we realized why you like MSU so much. It feel like a brotherhood, a family. And, just being able to come up there and feel like that, I never got that experience from any other school. So I wouldn't say that's like the biggest thing of mine. Just being up here and feeling like family, and just going to other schools and not feeling that same thing.
Man, look, one thing I want to be clear. I mean, you just brought up your mother and how integral she's been in your life and how she's Superwoman. Like, and we got evidence of her being Superwoman with this one-on-one video of you guys playing basketball right here.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. Is she gonna cross you over? What? Huh? What?
Oh man. Oh man.
Y'all know that was my get back.
Oh, that was your get back?
That was my get back for sure.
I mean, I know we had you on here before. You talked about like you would pull over and play basketball, pick up anywhere. Now, this is evidence of it. You put up the camera. Where are you guys at here? Is this River Rouge?
Oh yeah, we were at River Rouge. So we were finishing up like a couple of shots for his senior pictures. Oh. And he plays basketball for them as well. So I was like, man, like what can we do to make a fun shoot? And I'm like, you know what? It's been a long 10-month journey for me. I done been in 3 boots, 3 casts, and so what people don't know is like my physical therapist really thinks that Nick crossed me over, and that's how I got injured.
I did.
So he has this rumor going around like he crossed me, and that's how
That's not a rumor.
10 months. And so one day my physical therapist, we FaceTime Nick, and he's like, Nick, is this true? And Nick's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry to tell you that's really how she got hurt. And so physical therapy was kicking my butt because in his mind, he was getting me ready to get back on the court. And I'm like, man, Nick, they're killing me. He got me doing sprints. So over the last 4 months of physical therapy, they equipped me for that very moment. So I got my payback.
That's awesome. So Nick, going back to when the news broke about Coach Tucker being let go, and it was uncertainty. I'm sure a bunch of coaches started hitting you, as the kids would say, sliding in your DMs. So what was, and one of the big ones, especially at the beginning of the season when that was happening, Colorado, they were 2-0. They were the hottest thing there. Coach Prime, we coming? We ain't hard to find. All that, reached out to you and got got you. So what was that like? And then you were supposed to go on a visit this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And then you canceled.
This weekend. Yep.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
So the about Colorado, I went up there on an unofficial earlier this fall, and I think right before homecoming week, and I was just like, this is Colorado, this is going to be a big time to go up to this place, and they're playing USC, this is one of the biggest schools, and I was thinking that this was going to be like one of the best experiences of my life, but everyone's just a little Hollywood, you see a lot of celebrities, you see a lot of known people, and you're just going around and you're kind of meeting everybody, and it's just like as far as like communication and getting personal, it wasn't too much of that. You're just going around and just being a known person without getting personal with anybody. I wasn't able to formally meet the receivers coach there. I wasn't able to meet Deion Sanders or any of the other staff. I was talking to a recruiting director the whole time. So at this point, I was looking for a school that was going to make me a priority. And if that wasn't the case, then I wasn't too interested. No matter how big the name is, no matter how much, fire they're under, I want to be a priority at whatever school I was going to. So just coming back a few months later, they're staying in contact a little bit, but not too much communication. Still haven't got the treatment that I wanted. So got some good news from the head coach, the new head coach at Michigan State. And, I was like, I'm going to stick it out with these guys because, they showed the most love. They stayed the most consistent without their communication. And I'm like, why should I, go to this other school that's not doing the same? So that's pretty much.
Man.
That's mature.
Yeah, extremely mature. I mean, he said you don't like the Hollywood stuff, man. But, you know, you look at all the things that you guys have been through collectively as a family, because this is, you know, people don't understand this. Like, it's not just the kid, it's the entire family, it's the neighbor, it's the whole community that is involved in these decisions, because they're lifelong decisions. And that video that you guys had for his commitment was like paramount in that. When you look at the mantra that like Coach Smith talks about, he says low ego, high output. That's how I want MSU players to be. And there's a lot of talk about quarterbacks, because obviously Michigan State has lost right now 3 scholarship quarterbacks to the portal. But Aidan Chiles, it's reported that is following you and Mama Tron on Twitter. Is this, you know? What's happening? Can you give us some news on that?
I mean, it's not too much of big news. You know, he's a commit there at OSU, so you know, just knowing that we're out of quarterbacks and you know he's a pretty good player. You know, that would be my first contact, just to get to know that guy, just in case he wants to follow Coach Smith. So you know, that was one of my first priorities, just to see where his head was at, to see, you know, does he like MSU.
Oh, I hear. Wait a minute. This is like the quarterbacks that get in the class early and they recruit the class. So you are recruiting the class.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Can't forget about my guy Henry too. You know, Henry's just a great guy. So you know, that's a priority as well. Yeah, Henry Hasselback, definitely a priority.
Man, great job. I see you, Raven. Good job, Nick. Man, that's very mature. Receivers recruiting his quarterbacks. Okay.
I thought I had my poker face on. I was trying to put my poker.
I know. I saw that.
Oh man, it's you know, it's exciting. You know, I'm excited for you, Nick. I'm excited for you, Mama Tron. I know this season wasn't what we wanted it to be, but you know, a lot of times I looked at that left corner there. I saw you guys in the stands supporting the Spartans. You know, being there with your group of people there, and really, you know, appreciate that. And I think Spartan Nation, Spartan fans are really going to take you and embrace you, Nick, and really welcome you, especially the loyalty that you've showed throughout the entire process of and sticking to your commitment to Michigan State. And that's the best, you know, like when, you know, for both of you, especially you, Mama Tron, when you know, what advice do you, and I'm sure Mama Hall can really sit in the same thing here, going to the schools and falling in love with the school as opposed to the coach, you know, and the program, you know, how big is that? How important is that?
That's major, and that was major in our situation. You know, a lot of people, I try not to read some of the stuff, but it always passes me anyway, because, you know, people don't know Nick as a person. If you don't know him in real life, then you don't know what his core values are or how he was raised. And so everything that he stated, as far as like having that close-knit relationship, he always want to be somewhere where it's like family, just like his high school, that close-knit community where, you know, the people really care and love about you as a person and as a player. So going into those schools, that was the major thing for us as a family. And that's another thing. It affects us as a family, not just him solely. So every step along the way, we pray together. That's our number one thing. Before any decision is made, it's all 5 of us, me and his sisters and him. Like we get on our knees and we pray together. And for the people out there who, it's an NIL thing and it's a this and a that, they don't know him personally. And, you know, a lot of people fuss about, why MSU and this and the program is going down. If you knew what my son brings individually and as a teammate, then you will know why we believe in MSU. You will know why we believe that this program is going to go to the top. If you don't know him and you don't know about him, then you can't see that vision. And we see that vision. So I'm going to support him. My family's going to support him in his decision that he's making to stay at MSU. Go green, period.
Go white.
All right.
We love it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick, are there any current guys on the team that you keep touch that you stayed in touch with during the season, or you still stay in touch with?
I I was talking to Henry actually yesterday. I was talking to a couple of those guys yesterday. We're just live, kicking it, chilling. I talked to some of the recruits. I haven't really talked to much of the players, gave them their personal space, with all they're going through, just wanted to give those guys space and, just been kicking it with a couple guys. Just
Justin.
mostly the recruits. Yeah, just mostly the recruits, just trying to see where everyone's head at. And just keeping checking on everyone. So that's pretty much it.
I can give you a little advice here, young man, because look, I know you're young and you're not at Michigan State just yet. You got to sign letter of intent, all those types of things. But in football, if you want to be a good defense, there's nothing better for a defense than to have a great offense that can control that clock, right?
All right.
If you look at the guys that have entered the portal, I think out of the, 10 or so or more players that have gone, there's only been one defensive player. There's a lot of defensive players that are on this team that are on the fence right now. They're looking to see who the defensive staff will be. I know you're recruiting the offensive guys and say, hey, come on, I'm coming. Recruit the guys that are here on defense. Let them know.
Yeah. We got a group chat. We got a group chat.
Yeah.
And it's defensive guys, offensive guys. So we all got this Snap group chat, and it's offensive, defensive guys. So I'm recruiting a little bit of everybody.
Keep it up. That
future captain, a future captain right there
with that C. I love it.
I want to know where I can get my "You Got Marshed" shirt.
Oh,
yeah. You guys go check it out at mysteryhype.com.
Okay.
What's that? Say it one more time so we can put it.
mysteryhype.com.
Okay.
You guys go check it out. Go get you some Marsh gear.
We've got the link in our bios on each one of our pages.
Yeah,
okay.
So you guys
go
can
to
check
the
that
link
out.
in the bio on either of your social media platforms, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. That's what we like to hear, because there's a lot of people anticipating what's going to happen here. And we're so happy to have you in the family, keep you in the family. You've always been family. We love keeping you in the family. We appreciate you coming on the show with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Shout out to the entire Spartan Nation first off.
Hey, yeah, definitely.
Man.
Go green.
Go white.
I love it.
Yes. Nick Marsh and Mama Tron right there. Hey, listen, look, a lot of good news, a lot of interesting things, a lot of action going on around Michigan State football. There's a lot of basketball things that we didn't cover, but look, there's another show for that. Chu, what do you think about all the excitement around the program right now as we stand?
Yeah, no, I think right now for Spartan fans, there should be excitement going on because we know there's where the future's going. We know there's a new coach that's there. The best thing is show that love, show that support. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep these guys that are on the fence about maybe hitting the transfer portal because they know they have that support from Spartan Nation. So I think that's going to be huge. And I think showing, the outpouring of support to the coaches, the new coaching staff. If you see them around the community, welcome them. They're now Spartans in the community. So I think those are some things that Spartan Nations need to keep in mind. And, through it all, through ups, downs, and everything, remember that core of being a Spartan. If true Spartans stick together, true Spartans stay there and elevate each other. If you follow any of these kids on social media and everything, shoot them. Hey, thanks for a season. It was a tumultuous season that these kids had to endure. So, reach out to them, just thank them, for giving it their all, encourage them to stay Spartans. We got some great guys, we got, Foster Jr. He's a great receiver that we still have. Let's encourage him to stay. We got Jordan Hall. That's a guy that is
very
going to be the focal point, that center stone of the defense. We got a bunch of other guys. We got Dylan Tatum. He's a guy that's a leader. A true leader in that Spartan facility there through and through. I remember seeing him even when he was hurt. He had a notepad, taking things, coaching guys, all those things. Dylan Tate, he's a guy that's going to be a captain in this program through and through. We got these guys that we need to, surround, show love to. There's a ton of guys, ton of players, in that facility, in that building there, that's going to be a focal point to where we want to go as a program and an organization. And it's going to take us as Spartan fans, as Spartan nations, to surround those guys with love and encourage them to stay Spartans, because the future's going to be brighter. That's why the windshield's so much bigger than the rear view mirrors.
Absolutely. Don't want to leave anybody's name out. You started naming names. I'm not leaving anybody's name out here. I'm going to do the best that we can. But we got guys like Jaden Mangum. We got guys like Malcolm Spencer. You got Chester Kimbrough, Caber Cooley. I know Brule's going to the league. Don't forget Aaron Alexander, Sam Edwards. You said Jordan Hall, Chance Rucker, the true freshman.
Nate Carter.
Oh, yeah. I'm just on the defensive side of the ball.
Jonathan Kim.
Yeah, the kicker, man. Look at how two done came around. Jalen Thompson, Cass Tech's finest. Okay, Simeon Barrow, Derek Harmon. All of you guys, man. Zion Young, Chris. Look, the list goes on and on and on of guys that are integral of Spartans, especially on the defensive side of the ball or the offense. Every one of you.
Our punter, Ryan Eckley. Second team All Big Ten.
Great guy, baby. Hey, yeah. I mean, he was kicking that thing up over the press box the other day. I loved it. Yes, I like that, Sean Williams. You both survived coaching changes and thrived. Absolutely. That says it perfectly right there. Look, we're evidence of that. We know how this goes. It ain't fun, okay? It's never fun. And now with all these options that are thrown at you and all these other variables with NIL, it can get a little cloudy. But at the end of the day, when the dust settles, you're going to see a lot of green and white, baby. And Jonathan Smith is the new guy that's coming in town. The new sheriff is in town, and we're all getting behind him. And he's going to lead us to the promised land. Prayer changes things. You catch more bees with honey. As Chu just said, make sure when you comment to these fellas, do it out of love, not out of hate. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So for Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta MSU. Have a good night, everybody. God bless you, and go green.
Go white.
This is Sparta MSU is a combined presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. The show is produced by Tony LaBarbera, Tony Gustella, and Process Driven Consulting. Additional support is provided by Brendan Duravage. On-location technical support provided by Good Fruit Video. Be sure to follow our host Jason Strayhorn, Jehuu Caulcrick, and Otis Wiley on social media. To stay up to date with all the latest This is Sparta news, please like and subscribe by visiting our link tree and tell a friend to do the same. Thank you for your support, and as always, go green.